What is climate? Climate, to me, it depends on the time period that you're defining this term. If you define climate prior to the satellite era, you were talking about long-term variations in patterns of things like temperature, precipitation, humidity, aridity, you name it, right? Forest cover. So there's tons of different metrics that you can use, and you're looking at long-term variations. Prior to the satellite era, when we were talking about long-term variations, we were usually talking on the minimum resolution of things like millennia, but probably more on the things like tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of years, usually, because most proxies, it's really difficult to get very fine grain resolution. So certain things you can have century scale, but most things, to be safe, you're probably talking on the millennia scale in terms of resolution. As the satellite era has come into play, and if I think if you Google climate now, Google response is that it is the decadal variation, or the variation on the order of decades in parameters such as temperature, precipitation, cloud cover, you name it, right? We'll talk about some of these metrics here in a minute. Um, and so they've done that because we have, or I mean, nobody's done this, but this has just become kind of the parlance of our times, because we have about 60 to 70 years of good satellite data. So if you could say that climate is really about 2 to 3 decades, well, you have maybe 2 cycles of that. So really, it depends. But ultimately, the bottom definition, the total definition, is usually the same. This long-term variation in these parameters that we maybe would call weather on a daily basis, and the length of that has varied dramatically.